What's up, you guys? Welcome back to my channel, Real Talk Recovery, where we talk about recovery from addiction and I share my life with you. My name is Nicole and I am a recovering addict. My sobriety date is July 13th of 2015 and I'm currently utilizing maintenance medication called Suboxone and I'm down to 2 milligrams. And here on my channel, we talk all about my experience with my recovery, with my experience on Suboxone, and I also like to share other people's stories of recovery from addiction. So if that's something you guys think you might be interested in listening to, don't forget to subscribe to my channel. Click the notification bell, that way you'll be made aware of every single time I go live or upload a video. And give this video a thumbs up, leave me a comment down below, tell me what your worst detox experience was. I'm talking, I want to hear the details. I want to know exactly what happened because I'm fixing to tell y'all exactly what happened to me. So we're going to title this video, Detox Nightmares. Dun, dun, dun. So I have two detox nightmares that I'm going to share with you guys. And then I have one that was like the best time I detoxed. So I'll make a video separately for my stutter one more time, Nicole, my easiest detox. So first and foremost, we're going to start out with the first time that I can remember. The first time for some reason for me was always a time that I could really not forget. So I went to treatment back in 2002 or 3, and I went to this place called Quapaw House. I came out of Quapaw House and I relapsed. Now, when I went into Quapaw House, I was on Xanax and methamphetamine, so I don't really remember experiencing any really bad withdrawals or anything like that. The second time I went into treatment, I was on a lot of opiates, methamphetamine, and benzos, and I went to this place called South Arkansas Substance Abuse. The way that the treatment center was set up was you would come in and you would check in to the detox, which was down one hallway, and you would stay there for 5 days, and then once they could clear you, like your vitals were okay and all that stuff, then you'd go into general population. You'd go into with everybody else on the rehab side of things. So I got there, and y'all know how it is before you go into rehab, or maybe you don't. How many of y'all know what I'm talking about? You have that one last hurrah. You're like, I'm going to treatment tomorrow. I'm going to get high as hell. So I had me a whole smorgasbord. I had me some methadone, the wafers. I had me some Xanax bars, and I had me some methamphetamine. So I was like partying hard the night before. The next morning, I showed up at my parents' house because they were driving me. It was like 2.5, 3 hours away, the treatment center. So I showed up to my parents' house, fucked out of my mind, like zooted. I was like, you know, my dad was like so pissed because he would always be like, why do you do this? Like, my dad has never been somebody that like understood addiction at all. He would just always ask me things like, why don't you just quit? Why don't you just quit? You know, and y'all know how it is. Like, if I could have quit, I would have quit. I promise you guys. Like, I tried many, many times. So if you struggled with the disease of addiction, you know what I mean. It's like this obsession. It's like this, it's like something else takes over your body. It's so crazy. So anyway, well, he drove me to detox and dropped me off, checked me in, and I went in. And I remember the first night I got there, they were giving me Librium, I think it is, Librium, and keeping me hydrated with Gatorade. And then we'd have little crackers and stuff we could snack on. Of course, they were feeding us regular food, but that first night I wasn't hungry at all. So I was just living off of Gatorade and the little cracker packages and Librium. So the first night wasn't bad. Into my second night, that's when all hell started breaking loose. I started to like feel real sick. Like I was getting hot, then I was getting cold, then I was sweating, then I was shivering. I was sweating so bad in my bed that they had to come in and change my sheets. They were soaking wet. That's not even the bad part, y'all. That's not even the bad part. I was going back and forth, dry heaving in the toilet. Do you know how when you're dry heaving and all that's coming up is that bile, that stuff that burns your throat? That's exactly how it was. The Librium was helping because it was like making me kind of relax during the day, but it was like in the evening time I would really feel bad. That's just the beginning. The third night is when my asshole exploded, basically, and I could not make it to the bathroom on time, and I diarrheaed from my bed all the way to the toilet. Like, it was just shooting out of me, and I was humiliated. I was crying. I was embarrassed. I was on my hands and knees trying to clean it up so nobody would see it. And I finally just collapsed crying. And my roommate, bless her heart, she was also detoxing. She ran and got the nurses, and they found me on the ground in my own shit. Crying, sweating, teeth chattering. And I remember laying there by my own shit. And I was thinking, I will never do this to myself again. I will never put myself through this again. And I meant that. I meant that with everything in my being. I would never, ever go out and use drugs again, because this was the worst. And I didn't ever want to have to go through that. Going to the fourth day into the fifth, things started to come out on the other side. My bowel movements started to become a little bit more normal, not as watery. See, that was the problem. I can hold myself, but it was the fact that it was just like water. It was just, everything was coming out. It was coming out of this end. It was coming out of that end. It was coming out of everywhere. My pores, I smelled like that smell when your drugs are coming out of your system. You know what I'm talking about? That just stank. So I remember about 4.5 days, I started to be able to come out and smoke cigarettes outside with the girls. And then by my 5th day, I was ready to go into treatment. I was ready to learn how to stay sober, because I was like, I'm never putting myself through that again. And that was my first time that I remember really going through it, when I was detoxing. Now, that's not the worst one though. Let me tell you about this one. This one was years later. So that was like 2003, okay? Years later, in 2013, I met my husband in 2012, and I said, oh my gosh, he's so amazing. I'm falling in love. And we fell in love, and we never left each other's side. Well, little did I know that my husband was also an addict. And so about the second day I was hanging out with him, I realized that he was taking these pills all the time. And I was like, hot diggity dog, what are you taking? I want one. And that's when he told me that he was on methadone. Well, y'all know how I feel about methadone. Shit, I love to eat them motherfuckers. That was my drug of choice for a long time. That was all I could find, was them big old wafers. So I'd buy them all the time. So I said, well, damn, I love methadone. And so my husband started splitting his methadone prescription with me. And he was getting 365 10 milligram pills a month. Okay? So that's 132 pills per person. 132.5 per person. So I get 132, he gets 132. You know, it wasn't ever split equally though, because y'all know I was dipping in there. And that's how it always was. He would always give me more, or I would always dip into the stash, you know. Well, we were on those pretty hard for about 9-10 months, right? We were getting the prescription. He was going to the doctor for it. And one day he went in to see his doctor, and she piss tested him, and he failed for cocaine. And that's when she told him, like, I'm going to have to take you off of it. And so she didn't cut him cold turkey. She just started tapering him down. And it took her a couple of months to taper him down. And so while he was tapering down, I was supposed to be tapering down with him, but we weren't. What we were doing was we were just eating that much of the prescription. And then we would go get Roxy's, or we would sell some of it and go get some different kind of opiates. But we were constantly just taking more. It didn't matter that she was tapering us. So when she finally stopped prescribing them to us, we were off over 100 milligrams. Probably, it was a lot of methadone. 130 milligrams per person, probably more than that, cold turkey. Cold turkey in this room right here. I'm going to show y'all the bed I detoxed on. See this little green couch right here? Right here, in front of this window, right here, I detoxed with my husband. This folds out to a couch bed. And so me and my husband, this was our room. And so we slept on here, and we were so sick. Now, one thing that started happening to me after years and years of opiate abuse and all kinds of other drugs, my stomach started to do this thing where I would eat something and it wouldn't digest it all the way. And the food would just sit in my stomach and like rot. And then when I would shit it out, it would be like whole things, like smelled like rot. I can't explain it to you any other way. I know it's from opiate withdrawal. And it would smell like rotten food. Not like a regular poop, y'all. I'm talking like something crawled up inside of my body and stayed there until it decomposed. That's what it smelled like. It was undigested, rotten food. And so this is the first time I've ever gone through a withdrawal with my husband, with my boyfriend. He was my boyfriend at the time. And so we were both so sick. This whole bed, this room smelled like death. It smelled like 2 decomposing bodies in this room. Plus that bathroom right across the hallway, that was where we went to go to the bathroom. And his mom, every night and every day, she would have to come up here and spray Lysol and all kinds of candles lit to try and get that stench to go away. But we were tossing and turning. And one of the things I cannot stand doing with my husband is going through withdrawal, because my husband is such a brat. When he goes through withdrawal, he kicks and flails and, oh my God, my pretzel's eggs. It's like, I'm the kind of person, you guys, that like, if I'm going through withdrawal, it sucks, but I'm not going to sit there and like, I don't know. It's just like, I handle it. You know what I mean? I'm like, yeah, it sucks. I'm shitting, I'm pissing, I'm fucking tossing and turning. But I try to think like, especially if I'm by somebody else, about them too. So like, if I was up and down, I would just get up and go downstairs and lay on the couch or something like that. But my husband would go into this dark place where he would just throw temper tantrums of rage, and just kick his legs and punch the bed and all this stuff. And I'm just like, dude, we're gonna get through this. Like, let's get through this and just get it over with, right? I couldn't handle it I could not handle going through withdrawal with my husband. It drove me insane, because honestly, you guys, I'm like, man up. That's how I felt about it. And you guys might think that that's shitty to say, and I've said it to my husband's face, because we've had many fights when we were withdrawing together. But I'm like, come on, man. We can get through this, you know? And so that was always my kind of thinking. And he would be over there like wanting to kill himself, okay? And so we made it through 3 days of torture, 3 days of him acting like a little whiny baby and me over here yelling at him that he can handle it, man up, and just back and forth, and shitting and throwing up and shivering and shaking, until finally, y'all, I couldn't take it no more. I said, fuck it, let's go get high. And so he looked at me and he said, you want to go get some Roxy's? And I said, yeah. And he said, okay, let's go. Boom. And we were out the door. So that would happen all the time. But those 2 times are times that I can remember that were the worst. Every time that I withdrawed with my husband was the worst, because he would make it so intolerable. I can withdraw by myself, standing on my head, chilling, relaxing, watching TV. Sure, I'm not feeling good, but I can handle it. But when you put me in the room with somebody who's complaining and tossing and turning and bitching and moaning, you know, so that's why I'm so glad that my husband got sober, because I can't handle his ass like that. You know what I mean? Like, we were both raised very differently. And he's more of like a spoiled kind of guy, and I'm more of like handle it kind of girl. And so we both complement each other well, you know, and we're a good team. But when it comes to going through stuff like that together, I'm like gonna kick his ass out of the house. But anyways, that's my stories of my worst detoxes, you guys. I love y'all so much, and I hope you enjoyed my little story. If you have any stories that you guys want to share, just let me know down below, and I'll have you on the channel, and you can share your experiences too with everybody. And the next video I'm going to make is for Great Dane, and it's going to be about some tips and advice for somebody going into detox. And then another video we're going to talk about is why it's so important to taper when you're taking Suboxone. All right, guys. Love you. Don't forget to subscribe, and I'll see you guys tonight at 7.